Most people don't fail because of a lack of talent, or a lack of opportunity, or even bad luck. They fail because they negotiate with their own minds every single day. They say, "I'll start tomorrow. When I have more time. Once I feel motivated." And meanwhile, life keeps moving forward without asking for permission. Napoleon Hill understood something that almost no one wants to admit. Success does not respond to emotion, it responds to habit. It doesn't respond to the enthusiasm of Monday, but to the silent discipline of Tuesday, of Thursday, of the day when no one is watching. Procrastination is not laziness, it is a decision disguised as an excuse. It is the mind seeking immediate pleasure instead of long-term purpose. And if you don't confront it, it will define your destiny before you even realize it. Mastering the mind is not just theory, it requires daily practice. And to help you align your mind with your divine purpose in the very first seconds of your day, I have prepared the 1-minute prayer. It is a practical guide for 2026 that I've left in the first pinned comment. But before you access it, let's understand the 10 practices to get you out of autopilot today. You are not here by accident today. You are here because, deep down, you know you could be much further than where you are right now. You know you have untapped potential, unkept promises, and a version of yourself that hasn't seen the light of day yet. This video is not cheap motivation. It is a direct confrontation with the truth that transforms results. Stay until the end, because what you are about to hear might make you uncomfortable, but it might also change the way you relate to yourself forever. If you've ever felt like you start strong but never finish anything, this content is for you. Subscribe to the channel and comment below. From which side are you watching this video today? From the side of discipline, or from the side of excuses? Napoleon Hill wasn't born with access to millionaires or the secrets of success. He had to earn that place with persistence. When Andrew Carnegie proposed that he interview over 500 successful people, he didn't offer him money, or guarantees, or immediate recognition. He only offered him an opportunity, and a test. Hill accepted to work for years without pay, traveling, researching, failing, and correcting, guided solely by one firm decision: not to quit. In that process, he discovered that all great achievements had an invisible common denominator. Consistency applied even when there were no visible results. Carnegie, Edison, Ford, none of them relied on motivation. They relied on personal systems of self-discipline. Hill observed that most people know what to do, but very few actually do what they know consistently. That gap is where mediocrity is born, or greatness. Persistence was not a personality trait, it was a trained skill. And that idea changed his view of success forever. Because he understood that self-discipline is not punishment, it is direction. It is not rigidity, it is future freedom. But to master it, first, you had to stop lying to yourself. Motivation is emotional, self-discipline is structural. Motivation depends on your mood, discipline depends on previous decisions. When you wait to feel like it, you've already lost control. Consistency is doing the right thing even when there is no emotion involved. It is getting up when you don't want to, moving forward when you don't see results, and repeating even when it feels boring. Hill called this the brute force of character. It's not elegant, it's not glamorous, but it works. The human mind seeks comfort, and that's why it needs clear rules. When you don't impose them, the environment will impose them for you. Self-discipline isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about not breaking the commitment to yourself. Every time you fail yourself, you reinforce the identity of someone who doesn't finish what they start. Every time you follow through, even in something small, you build internal trust. And that trust is more powerful than any talent. This is where most people give up, because they want fast results, not solid processes. But everything worth having takes time, and what takes time demands consistency. The first practical lesson is: decide before you feel. Consistent people do not negotiate with their emotions every morning. They define schedules, rules, and daily minimums. They don't wait for inspiration, they create structure. The second lesson is: reduce friction. Hill observed that great thinkers designed their environment to make the right action easy. The third lesson is clear commitment. When there are no consequences, the mind always looks for an escape. The fourth lesson is: think in terms of identity. You don't do something because you want results. You do it because that is the kind of person you are. The fifth lesson is: review, adjust, and continue. Consistency is not blind rigidity, it is intelligent persistence. Hill called out one final factor: the master mind. Your mental environment defines your level of consistency. If you are surrounded by people who normalize procrastination, you will be fighting against the current. Self-discipline is not just individual, it is environmental. What you consume, what you listen to, who you talk to, it all programs your behavior. Consistency is not a talent reserved for a few, it is a daily choice available to everyone. Summarize what you learned today and decide which side you will be on from now on. Comment below, "I am consistent," and publicly state the commitment to yourself. Because when you truly decide, the path responds. Deep into his interviews with the most successful men of his time, he noticed an uncomfortable pattern. None of them relied on feeling motivated. In fact, many confessed that most days, they didn't feel like doing what they had to do. The difference was brutal and silent. They acted anyway. While the majority waits for the perfect moment, disciplined people understand that the perfect moment does not exist. there is only the decision. And that decision, when repeated, becomes character. Hill understood that self-discipline is not born from enthusiasm, but from internal mastery. It is the ability to say no to immediate impulse to protect a greater goal. It isn't easy, it isn't comfortable, and it's never popular. But that is exactly why it works. The human mind is programmed to avoid effort and seek immediate pleasure. That mechanism isn't a flaw, it's survival. The problem arises when that instinct governs your modern life. Today, you don't need to run from predators, but your brain still reacts as if every discomfort were a threat. That is why you procrastinate, that is why you quit, that is why you justify. Self-discipline is re-educating the mind to obey a vision, not an impulse. Hill called it self-control. Those who do not govern themselves are governed by circumstances. And circumstances never favor those who wait. There is a dangerous lie that destroys more dreams than failure itself. The idea that you must first feel good in order to act. That belief keeps millions trapped in cycles of starting and quitting. They start strong, deflate quickly, and then blame themselves for not being strong enough. But strength does not appear before action, it appears after. Constant action creates energy, not the other way around. When you understand this, you stop waiting, and you start moving even without the urge. And in that movement, something changes internally. Your identity. Hill observed that successful people didn't ask themselves, "Do I feel like it?" But rather, "What would the person I want to become do?" That question changes everything. You no longer act from emotion, you act from identity. You don't train because you're motivated, you train because you are disciplined. You don't study because you're inspired, you study because you are responsible. Every action reinforces that identity, and every repetition solidifies it. Self-discipline is not a cage, it is a root. The deeper it goes, the higher you can grow. Another key point Hill made clear is that consistency does not demand perfection. It demands continuity. Many people quit because they believe failing for one day invalidates the entire process. That is ego, not discipline. A consistent person understands that falling is part of the way, but giving up is a decision. Returning to the plan the next day is self-discipline. Adjusting without abandoning is maturity. Consistency is not mental rigidity, it is a flexible commitment to a clear objective. Hill also taught that self-discipline begins with small daily victories. Not with drastic changes that depend on extreme willpower. The mind is strengthened by fulfillment, not by promises. When you commit to something small and you do it, your brain registers confidence. When you promise too much and don't deliver, it registers internal distrust. Over time, that relationship with yourself defines how much you respect yourself. And no one achieves extraordinary results without self-respect. There is a critical point where most people give up. The period with no visible results. Hill called it the test of faith. It's when you're doing everything right, but you don't see the fruits yet. That is where self-discipline separates those who dream from those who build. Because success always pays with a delay. And only those who continue when there is no applause, live to receive it. The weak mind interprets silence as failure. The disciplined mind interprets silence as process. Another powerful aspect is understanding that self-discipline is not negotiated daily. It is decided once, and executed many times. Every time you negotiate with yourself, you lose internal authority. Every time you follow through on what you decided, you reinforce it. Hill said that character is formed when you do the right thing even when no one is watching. Especially when no one is watching. Because there is no external reward there, only integrity. And here is a hard truth. Nobody is coming to save you from your lack of discipline. There is no mentor, no video, and no book that will do the work for you. Knowledge without application is sophisticated self-deception. Hill interviewed brilliant geniuses who never achieved anything due to a lack of consistency. And he also interviewed ordinary people who built empires through discipline applied for years. The world does not reward potential, it rewards sustained execution. If you are listening to this and you feel uncomfortable, that's a good sign. It means something is waking up. Self-discipline doesn't rob you of freedom, it gives it back to you. It frees you from emotional dependence, from constant excuses, from silent regret. It turns you into someone you can rely on. And when you trust yourself, the world begins to respond differently. But there is something even deeper that Hill discovered, something that can boost or destroy your consistency without you even noticing. It's not just about you, but about what surrounds you. Because even the most disciplined person can weaken in the wrong environment. And that invisible factor is exactly what we are going to talk about next. We have arrived at the most critical factor of consistency. Napoleon Hill discovered that no person can be successful or disciplined in total isolation. He called it the master mind. But there is a dark side to this principle. If you do not consciously choose your master mind, your environment will choose it for you. And usually, the world chooses mediocrity. Your mental environment defines your level of consistency. Think about this. It is almost impossible to maintain a peak state of discipline if you are surrounded by people who normalize procrastination. Discipline is not just an individual battle, it is an environmental one. If your social circle, the content you consume, and the people you talk to every day have no vision, your mind will slowly adapt to that lack of purpose. Hill noted that the mind imitates what it considers normal. So, you must ask yourself, what am I normalizing? If you are surrounded by people who complain, you will eventually find reasons to complain. If you are surrounded by people who make excuses, you will eventually believe your own excuses. On the other hand, when you align your environment with your goals, consistency stops being a constant struggle and starts becoming a natural consequence. You don't have to fight your environment if your environment is already pushing you toward greatness. Hill observed that the most disciplined men in history were experts at selective isolation. They weren't antisocial, they were pro-purpose. They guarded their ears and their eyes like a fortress. What you listen to, what you watch, and who you allow into your inner circle are the programs that run your behavior. You cannot expect to build an empire with the mindset of someone who only lives for the weekend. The greatest mistake is trying to change alone, without adjusting the context. Your willpower is a limited resource, it's like a battery that drains throughout the day. But your environment is like a power outlet. If the environment is right, it recharges you. If it's wrong, it shorts you out. To be consistent for 25 minutes, for a year, or for a lifetime, you must design a space where doing the right thing is the easiest path. This leads us to a final, sobering truth. Discipline is lonely at the beginning, but it is crowded at the top. Many people will try to pull you back to the average because your consistency makes them uncomfortable. It reminds them of what they are not doing. Hill taught that you must be willing to walk alone for a while to find the people who are actually going your way. Consistency is not a talent reserved for a few, it is a daily choice available to everyone. But that choice requires you to protect your mind at all costs. Now that you understand the mechanics of the mind, the power of identity, and the influence of your environment, there is only one thing left. Action. Resume what you learned today and decide which side you will be on from now on. Don't leave this video without making a commitment. Comment below, "I am consistent," and publicly state this commitment to yourself. Because when you truly decide, when you stop negotiating with your excuses, the path finally responds. Remember, your divine purpose is waiting for you to stop hesitating. See you at the top. There is a decisive moment in the life of every person seeking growth. When they stop consuming ideas and start embodying principles. Napoleon Hill insisted that knowledge only has value when it becomes sustained action. It doesn't matter how many books you read, how many videos you save, or how many quotes you underline. If your daily behavior doesn't change, nothing changes. True self-discipline is not announced, it is demonstrated. It is silent, constant, and deeply transformative. Hill observed that people who truly succeed develop a different relationship with time. They don't live reacting to the day, they live executing a plan. They understand that every single day is a vote in favor, or against, the future they desire. They don't underestimate small habits because they know that destiny is built in the mundane. Self-discipline doesn't appear in the grand moments, it is revealed in the small decisions that no one celebrates. Waking up at the agreed time, keeping a promise, moving forward even when exhausted, choosing what is right over what is easy. One of the final principles Hill taught was clarity of purpose. Without a defined purpose, discipline weakens. When you don't know exactly where you are going, any distraction seems valid. But when your goal is clear, self-discipline stops being a struggle and becomes alignment. You no longer ask yourself if you should act, only when and how. A strong purpose orders the mind and eliminates unnecessary internal negotiations. A lack of discipline is almost always a lack of clarity. There is also an uncomfortable truth. Self-discipline demands sacrifice. You cannot build an elevated version of yourself without letting go of habits, relationships, and behaviors that no longer fit. Hill said that every advancement requires an equivalent sacrifice. Not as a punishment, but as a conscious exchange. You give up momentary pleasures to gain long-term freedom. You give up comfort to conquer self-respect. And that self-respect is one of the deepest rewards of consistency. Over time, something powerful happens. You stop recognizing your old self. You are no longer the person who starts and quits. You no longer depend on your mood. You become predictable to yourself, and that predictability generates internal peace. You know you can count on yourself. You know you will do what you said you would do. And that internal trust changes your posture, your language, and your decisions. The world responds differently to someone who walks with internal coherence. There is a point where self-discipline stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like identity. You no longer say, "I have to," you say, "I am." Not because it's easy, but because it is who you are. Hill claimed that when a habit integrates into your identity, it stops requiring extra energy. It becomes natural. And that is the phase where outsiders believe you have luck, talent, or an advantage. They don't see the years of silent repetition that built that ease. But none of this happens without a final, clear decision. Not an emotional promise, but a firm commitment. Self-discipline doesn't start on Monday, or next month, or when everything is in order. It starts when you decide to stop justifying yourself. It starts when you assume total responsibility for your results. Hill was direct in this. As long as you blame the environment, the past, or other people, you will remain trapped. Freedom begins when you accept that your life is a reflection of your consistent decisions. At this point, the question is not whether you know enough. The question is whether you are willing to live according to what you know. Because knowing and not doing creates frustration. But knowing and doing, even slowly, creates power. You don't need to change everything today. You need to fulfill one thing today. One aligned action. One firm step. One honored commitment. Self-discipline does not promise you an easy path, but it guarantees a worthy one. It turns you into someone who does not betray themselves. Someone who moves forward even with fear. Someone who builds in silence and harvests over time. And when you look back, you will understand that it wasn't one grand moment that changed your life, but a decision repeated with consistency. Now, the responsibility is yours. No one else can choose for you. If this message resonated, don't let it pass like just another piece of content. Declare your decision. Write in the comments, "I am consistent," and make your commitment public. Not for others, but for yourself. But remember, as we discussed, mastering the mind requires a daily ritual. To help you align your mind with your divine purpose in the very first seconds of your day, I have prepared the 1-minute prayer for 2026. It is a practical guide to help you exit autopilot and stay firm in your commitment. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Download it now, use it, and start building the life you were meant to lead. Thank you for watching. When you decide with clarity, the mind aligns, behavior responds, and the future finally begins to change. I'll see you at the top.